Harris has a 2-point lead in Wisconsin. Both results are within the margin of error, with the New York Times chief pollster saying this could be the closest presidential race in modern U.S. history. Donald Trump was back on the campaign trail today in Pennsylvania, where he doubled down on his recent comments about Vice President Harris being, quote, mentally impaired.
There's something wrong with Kamala, and I just don't know what it is, but there is definitely something missing. And you know what? Everybody knows it. She's a stupid person. Stupid person.
And this is the Republican standard bearer. And while Donald Trump is frothing personal insults devoid of rational policy on a daily basis, Vice President Harris has been outlining her plans to enforce border security and to improve the economic outlook for everyday Americans. In about an hour, Vice President Harris will appear at a rally in Las Vegas. This will mark her 8th trip to Nevada this year. Next week, she'll return to battleground Pennsylvania and Michigan. But in the race for control of the United States Senate, Democrats are shifting their focus beyond swing states. Most notably, they now have their eyes on flipping the Republican-held seats in Texas and Florida, where Democrats Congressman Colin Allred and former Congresswoman Debbie Mucarsel-Powell are running, respectively. The Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee announced a multi-million-dollar investment in television advertising in the Sunshine State and the Lone Star State that target Republican incumbents Ted Cruz and Rick Scott, each of whom won re-election by single digits. This is significant because the Texas and Florida Senate seats were once considered safe, and a Democratic victory in either state would be huge, especially given polling that shows Democrats are faring better in their efforts to hold on to seats in Michigan, Ohio, and Wisconsin. Democrats hanging on to the Senate majority would be vital for the functioning of a Harris administration because it is the Senate that confirms appointments to the cabinet, the federal judiciary, including the Supreme Court, and ambassadors. But hanging on to that majority won't be easy, as my next guest very well knows. Joining me now is Senator Gary Peters of Michigan. He is the chair of the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee and a member of the Senate Armed Services Committee and chair of the Homeland Security Committee. Chairman Peters, thank you very much for coming back to the Sunday show. So, the New York Times today story says Democrats maintain narrow path for keeping control of the Senate, and it says Democratic Senate candidates in the upper Midwest states of Michigan, Ohio, and Wisconsin hold leads over their Republican competitors. I've heard you say before that you are confident that Democrats will hold on to the 50 seats that they currently have. Why are you so confident?
Well, I'm confident for a couple of reasons. One is candidate quality, which is absolutely essential to have on your side, and we do. We have incredibly strong incumbents and challengers who have consistently been able to run against above the margins against their Republican opponents. And the Republican candidates, as I've been saying, and if you look at their records and what they've been doing on the campaign trail, I say you can probably put them on a continuum from flawed to seriously flawed. And most of them are pushing the envelope on the seriously flawed part of that spectrum. And so we can paint that contrast. But of course, just having the best candidate doesn't mean you win. You also have to run a really great campaign. That's what they're doing at the DSCC, just like we did last cycle. We're working very closely with these incumbents to make sure we have a strong ground game, because ultimately in these very close races, it's about turning out your voters and doing that on the ground, which we're going to do again.
Okay, so that's the 50-state strategy. Now let's talk about Texas and Florida, because I think a lot of people were surprised by the move that you are making to put in resources in those two states. What are you seeing on the ground in Texas and Florida that precipitated this move?
Well, we're seeing momentum. Clearly, we're focused to make sure we hold our 50, and we're going to continue to raise resources to do that. We need help. But we also want to go on the offense. And if you look at what's happening both in Texas and Florida, again, we have very strong Democratic challengers against weak incumbents. You know, Ted Cruz won by a little over 2% in his last race. Rick Scott's never won by more than roughly 1% in those races. And we see these numbers now in the margin of error and sometimes at the top end. That is momentum. We don't want to leave anything behind. We want to make sure that we're playing offense as well as defense. And I always believe the best defense is a good offense. And when you've got momentum, you've got to put resources in. But clearly, these are expensive states. We're going to need to continue to raise resources, which is why our website, defendthesenate.org, is critical. As we bring that money in, we're able to help our candidates in both Texas and Florida, as well as defend our seats. But it's going to take support from the DSCC as well as individual contributors. And I would encourage everyone to look at Florida and Texas. And if you believe in our candidates there, please invest.
The Harris-Walz campaign is sitting on goo gobs of money, to use a technical term, but I don't know legally how much can the Harris-Walz campaign help the DSCC? Can you get some of that money that they've raised to help you with some of those Senate races?
They can. They help. In fact, we have had a transfer of about $10 million from their campaign. But we're also working very closely. If you think about our battleground states, you mentioned Michigan and Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, Arizona, Nevada. Those are also key states for the president and for the vice president to win the presidency. So we are coordinating with them. That helps us a great deal. But we're on our own in other states, like Ohio is tough. Montana clearly is a state where we're on our own. And we're going to have to be pushing in Florida as well as in Texas. And that's why folks who contribute to defendthesenate.org help our efforts in all of those states. And with those resources, we see the momentum. We're close. And, you know, it's been described to me, don't talk about margin of error, talk about margin of effort. And that's where we're in right now. I think that's a great way to look at it. We're in the margin of effort. Whoever puts in the most effort in these remaining days will win control of the Senate and will win the presidency. And we have to make sure Kamala Harris wins, and she has a Senate that backs her up every step of the way.
Now, you mentioned Montana being a tough seat. How tough is it? Is Senator Tester, I mean, is he done? I mean, if you read some of the political press, they're basically writing his political obituary now.
No, that is absolutely not the case. John Tester knows how to win in a very tough state. He's done it before. This is not new. We always knew that this race would be very close in the margin of error, or what I like to call the margin of effort. We turned folks out. We're going to be able to do that. This is a smaller state population-wise. Retail politics matters. John Tester is as authentic as you possibly can get in a candidate in the state of Montana, running against one of those seriously flawed Republican candidates. He is going to run strong. He's going to run hard, and I believe he will win.
Senator Peters, let me get your reaction to something Maryland Republican Senate candidate Larry Hogan had to say today on one of the Sunday shows.
Well, you know, I think I've been one of the leading kind of voices of opposition in my party for quite some time, and I'm continuing to do that. We're actually running 20 or 30 points ahead of Donald Trump in our state. And, you know, I think I have a completely separate identity after, you know, being governor for 2 terms in the bluest state, or one of the bluest states in America.
Senator Peters, is that going to fly?
No, and it's absolutely false. He is a Republican. Let's be very clear. He is a Republican, and if he were to win the seat in Maryland, he will vote with the Republicans, which could give them the majority. And if they have the majority, they can block Kamala Harris as the incoming president on everything. It would be difficult for her to even get members of her cabinet. You think about federal judges and how important they are to maintain the rule of law in this country. Larry Hogan's a Republican. He will vote for a Republican majority in the United States Senate. He has to be blocked. Maryland is a strong Democratic state. And if anyone in Maryland is voting for Kamala Harris, you have to vote for our candidate, Ms. Alsobrooks. She is doing, Angela is an amazing candidate. People need to support her. She will make a great United States Senator.
Senator Gary Peters, chair of the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee, as always, thank you for coming to the Sunday Show.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
And coming up, from calling them killers, rapists, and saying they're poisoning the blood of America, Donald Trump's fear-mongering on migrants gets more disturbing every day. Maria Hinojosa and Adam Sorer join me next with a look at the strategy behind Donald Trump's demonizing rhetoric. Plus, SNL is back, and Maya Rudolph's awaited return did not disappoint. We'll take a look at some of the show's top moments later in the show.
Introducing Ned's plaque psoriasis.
Ned, what are you wearing?
He thinks his flaky red patches are all people see.
Otezla is the #1 prescribed pill to treat plaque psoriasis.
Ned?
Otezla can help you get clearer skin and reduce itching and flaking, with no routine blood tests required. Doctors have been prescribing Otezla for nearly a decade. Otezla is also approved to treat psoriatic arthritis. Don't use Otezla if you're allergic to it. Serious allergic reactions can happen. Otezla may cause severe diarrhea, nausea, or vomiting. Some people taking Otezla had depression, suicidal thoughts, or weight loss. Upper respiratory tract infection and headache may occur.
With clear skin, movie night is a groovy night. Live in the moment. Ask your doctor about Otezla.
The only thing on the road faster than a race car are rising car repair costs. But with Endurance, you'll never pay for covered car repairs again.
Just 2 claims saved us over $1,700.
If I didn't have Endurance, I would have paid over $7,000 out of pocket to repair my vehicle.
So make the call. Find out how much you could save with Endurance.
Call right now to get $300 off any plan. Call 1-833-440-3910 now.
At Avocado, how you sleep matters. Whether you crave indulgent luxury, a naturally cool night's sleep, ergonomic back support, or all of the above, sleep is never a one-size-fits-all at Avocado. And because your health and our planet is what matters most to us, Avocado's certified organic mattresses are made with natural and renewable materials. Discover why Avocado is one of the highest-rated mattresses in America. Visit our stores or your local retailer or shop online at avocadomattress.com.
I'm Alec Mercer. I'm a behavioral psychologist. The FBI calls me because I know why people do the inexplicable.
You mean dangerous and stupid?
Is that a scientific term?
It should be.
The Irrational. New October 8th on NBC and Peacock.
Looking for a way to stretch the dollar? With Insurify, you can cut your car insurance bill in half. Getting a deal on car insurance from Insurify is super easy, and all you need is a phone and a finger. Scroll through dozens of prices and tap to switch online. That's it. No phone calls and no wasted time. It's just like searching for a flight or hotel online. Enter your car information, and Insurify does the rest. Go to Insurify and save today.
Check if you're overpaying for car insurance. Go to Insurify.com.
The biggest benefit, honestly, has been with my skin. Skin was more hydrated, more radiant.
This is the best superfood that you could take.
It has all the essential nutrients you need for your skin, your gut, energy, focus, mood, performance.
My hair has gotten so much thicker ever since taking this.
I used to have a probiotic, a green juice that replaced it all with this Arma colostrum. It is amazing.
You gotta take it.
If you want to try it, try arma.com.
Larry, check this out. With On Deck, we could get a small business loan fast and start hiring more help right away.
Or loan cannon!
Huh?
Why, loan cannon, why?
There's a better way to get a fast small business loan. On Deck, the online lender that makes it easy to choose your loan and if approved, get funds as soon as the same day. Your loan is on deck.
Subscribe to MS